welcome back, viewers. We're starting the bulletin with a big breaking news which is coming in. Sources are telling Times Now that the Indian sailors who had been killed were not basically on the India flagged ships. Indian seafarers were part of the shadow fleet. That's the latest update coming in. They basically switched off their AIS, or that is the AI maritime tracking systems, and reportedly didn't obey the rules, which is when they were fired. The blockade exists whether we like it or not. So that is the big breaking news coming in. If I could just go across to my colleague Srinjoy and Mayank, both of them joining us live on the broadcast. Mayank, if I could come to you first, what is it that, all right, Srinjoy, if I could go to you first, what is it that you're picking up from your sources? Indian sailors basically killed reportedly were not on the India flagged ships. Can you give us more details, first of all, on the same?
Yes, it was part of the shadow fleet. But at the end of the day, they were Indian sailors. They were Indian citizens. And as a result of the attack, 3 Indians have been killed. That's, of course, something everybody knows now. 3 Indian sailors have been killed in that attack. Yes, it was not an Indian flagship. There's no dispute about that. But these were Indian sailors, Indian citizens who were killed in the attack. Now, there was a subsequent attack, and there have been no casualties on that. There were Indian sailors, 20 of them in the second ship, and that too was attacked, and everybody is safe, what we are hearing. We also know that the Indian government has thanked the government of Oman for helping out in rescuing 21 Indian sailors.
Srinjoy, but there were a lot of concerns over whether these were Indian flagged ships. They had shut their maritime tracking systems. They did not obey rules. That is what sources have told Times Now, because there were a lot of concerns on whether Indian flagged ships had been targeted, because 3 different incidents have been reported.
It's very well known that they were not Indian flagged ships. It was also known that they had shut off, it was part of a shadow fleet. There is absolutely no doubt that this was not an Indian flagged ship. So when the Central Command attacked the ship, they did not know that there were Indian sailors on the ship. But there were 24 Indian sailors, and 3 of them were dead.
All right. Mayank is also live with us, and Mayank, there have been a lot of concerns over Indian sailors being killed, and now sources telling Times Now that the Indian sailors killed were not on the India flagged ships, that the Indian seafarers were part of a shadow fleet, and that they have switched off their maritime tracking systems. So that is when the firing took place. So the US CENTCOM had issued a statement on this already, and you have Indian seafarers who have been killed in the US Navy action. So US Navy attacked 3 merchant vessels with Indian seafarers, and India has also given us a very stern message to enjoy, and this message has been given to the United States already, saying these strikes must stop.
Yes, of course. India wants peace. India wants free passage in the Strait of Hormuz. India does not want attacks on any ship in the Strait of Hormuz in the world. These are commercial vehicles, so no attacks is something India favors. But these attacks have happened, and 3 Indian sailors were killed. And as we know, the CDA of the United States here in India, in the US Embassy, was called in, and he was told this very clearly.
All right, stay with us. Mayank is also on the broadcast with us, but we have more breaking updates now coming in. Now, this is amid sources telling Times Now that the Indian sailors were not on Indian flag ships, and let's tell you, viewers, the details of these incidents. 3 ships, 3 attacks, and 3 Indians who lost their lives because tensions are escalating in the Gulf of Oman. Commercial vessels carrying Indian crew members have come under attack in 3 separate incidents within 4 days. One vessel after another was hit, and while dozens of Indian sailors were rescued, 3 lost their lives. India has now formally taken up the matter with the United States, seeking answers over these strikes. Now, amid rising tensions in the Gulf region, the Government of India has also gone on high alert to safeguard Indian seafarers and maritime interests. The Ministry of Ports, Shipping and Waterways is closely monitoring the developments in and around the Strait of Hormuz and the Gulf of Oman. While the coordinations are also continuing with the Ministry of External Affairs, the Indian Navy and other stakeholders. The Union Minister, Sarbananda Sonowal, reiterated that the government remains fully committed to the security, safety and welfare of every Indian seafarer. Now, let's also tell you about the 3 men who lost their lives. One, Patnala Suresh, he was a chief engineer from Andhra Pradesh. Shivanand Chaurasia, the engine fitter from Uttar Pradesh, and Aditya Sharma, a young sailor from Himachal Pradesh. They set sail for work, for responsibility, for the promise of returning home, but instead their families received the bad news. Behind the headlines and the geopolitical fallout are 3 Indian lives cut short and homes that will carry this loss forever.
When this particular attack happened on the ship Sede Bello, we lodged a strong protest with the American side. We called in the American CDA and he was conveyed our deepest concerns on the ongoing incidents of attacks. These attacks came from the US Navy that is stationed there. The 3 ships that have been involved in the incidents are foreign flagged. 2 of them are Palau flagged, and the 3rd one, which came under attack today, is Guinea flagged. So that is, they are not Indian-owned ships, they are all foreign flagged ships.
Well, in fact, we also spoke to the family members, and here is what they had said.
It's a very difficult time for you and your family, sir, and looking at the circumstances, जिस तरह से हालात बनते हुए जा रहे हैं, unfortunately we have lost 2 more of the seafarers who were along with Aditya.
Knowing that situation, that US Army has gone mad and they are hitting vessels with deadly armed ammunition, how did and under whose consent or pressure that this ship's captain take decision to move this ship towards Gulf through Strait of Hormuz, where double blockade has been from USA and Iran.
Right,
and why did we take this decision? And why did US Army use this weapon, missile, to hit the ship, cargo ship, which is a commercial ship? They are not taking any ammunition, or they are not a bar ship. That was a oil tanker. और गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया को भी इंस्ट्रक्शन देनी चाहिए ऑल शिपिंग कंपनीज को और जितने भी शिप्स इस रीजन में है कि विदाउट confirmation or consent don't move their ship towards Strait of Hormuz.
In fact, joining us on the broadcast is Shivanand's wife. Shivanand also lost his life. Thank you for joining us. Okay, we don't seem to have the line with us, but as of now, we have also spoken to the father of one of the victims who spoke to us, talking about how he's struggling to come to terms with the death of his 23-year-old son. And he also raised multiple questions, also asking the Ministry of External Affairs to intervene. Now, there are claims and counter-claims that have been made regarding this. The US CENTCOM claims the crew on board repeatedly ignored the US forces' orders, alleging that the vessel was attempting to transport Iranian oil, adding that blockade applies equally to all nations. But the managers have rejected these claims, saying that no warning calls were made before the US action was taken, insisting that the vessel was not transiting through the sea route in question. So it's a civilian vessel that has been targeted. The US CENTCOM has claimed that the crew repeatedly ignored the orders that had been given by the United States, going on to say that the blockade applies to all nations impartially. The vessel attempted to transport the Iranian oil, also going on to say that there were warning signs that had very clearly been given. But what the managers of the vessel have claimed is that there was no such warning that was given. There was no call that was made prior to the action. And also going on to say that the vessel was not transiting through the sea when the action was taken.
मानने के लिए एकदम तैयार नहीं हो कि यूएस के पास उन दोनों जहाज के ऊपर कौन से नागरिक हैं इसकी कोई जानकारी नहीं थी। ये पॉसिबल नहीं है। आज के इस टेक्नोलॉजी के ज़माने में हर जहाज के पास ये ऑलमोस्ट डिटेल होती है। जहां तक नेवल शिप की बात करूं मैं यूएस के, तो उनके पास 101% मैं कॉन्फिडेंट हूं कि उनके पास इस बात की जानकारी थी कि उस जहाज पे कितने भारतीय हैं, कितने विदेशी नागरिक हैं। उसके बाद भी उनके पास ये ऑप्शन था कि वो चॉपर से या स्पीड बोट से या उनकी जो क्रूजिंग बोट है उस बोट से उस जहाज को बोर्ड कर सकते थे। अगर उस जहाज के ने उनकी बात नहीं सुनी थी तो उसको डिटेन करना उनके पास एक पर्याय था। लेकिन जिस तरह से दोनों जहाज को हिट किया गया है वो इस बात की पुष्टि कर रहा है कि उन्हें जहाज पे काम करने वाले नाविकों की कोई परवाह नहीं थी।
So, Mayank, there have been claims and counterclaims. While the US claims that warnings had been given already, the manager of the vessel says that there was no such warning. And amid this claim, counterclaim and these concerns, the truth is that 3 Indians have lost their lives. What is the situation there currently?
Interestingly, Prathibha, there was a briefing yesterday in which it was the whole issue was discussed and briefed about. And in that case, it was also in that only it was brought out that all 3 ships which had been hit on 8th of April, 10th of April, and 11th April, they had been not owned in any way by the Indians and which are foreign country flagged. In this case, first 2 ships were flagged in Palau, and the last ship which was hit on 11th was in Guinea. That's what the briefing brought out. Also, the sources have brought out in the, recently, is that automated identification system. It's called AIS system, which is on board every such vessel, which gives it a unique identity. That was also switched off. The other point was that, as you have already brought out, that warnings were given, they were furnished, but then it was not implied to, or it was not followed through. The other point, it has been also brought out that it was a sanctioned ship. So it was definitely spoken about yesterday by the spokesperson of MEA, Mr. Randhir Jaswal. He also brought out that point, saying that first 2 ships were there sanctioned, and the 3rd ship, which was hit on 11th, was under non-compliance category. So this is the kind of a briefing which was done yesterday, and the sources have also brought out that in specific aspect, AIS switched off is the point which has come out new, and that after multiple warnings, the crew of the ship did not comply to the kind of warnings which was given in that case. Thus, missile was used actually. One point which is a little surprising is that as per the reports coming out, area of accommodation was also hit by the missiles.
Okay.
It is because of this only that the 3 Indians, they lost their life. Prathibha?
Yes. In fact, we have Sushila Devi joining us on the broadcast. She is a wife of Shivanand. We also have the brother-in-law joining us. Thank you so much for joining us, Sanjay Chaurasia ji. This is a very difficult time for the family members, I can understand. आपकी आखिरी बार शिवानंद जी से कब बात हुई?
संजय चौरसिया
जी बोलिए. संजय जी, आपको मेरी आवाज आ रही है? संजय जी, आपको मेरी आवाज आ रही है? Okay, all right. We'll try and fix that line. We have been speaking to the grieving family members. It's a very sensitive time, but there are many questions that the family members are also raising on the developments. The Indian government has said that it is on highest alert in the Gulf region and was monitoring developments in and around the Strait of Hormuz, the Gulf of Oman, and the adjoining maritime areas to safeguard Indian seafarers in the region. Well, we continue getting you those updates and the statement from the Ministry of External Affairs on this. But for now, we're shifting our attention to the revolt within the TMC, which is now out in writing. Amid the ongoing tussle in the Trinamool Congress, the names of 19 rebel MPs who sent their names to the Lok Sabha Speaker's office on the 18th of May has now come to the fore. Times Now has accessed the letter submitted by the rebels to Lok Sabha. Now, this list includes the names of Shatabdi Roy, Shayoni Ghosh, Kakuli Ghosh Dastidar and Yusuf Pathan and 15 others who had signed this letter and handed it over to the Lok Sabha Speaker. Now let's get you the details of what this actually means and who are the leaders, prominent names of the TMC who have signed on this. Kakuli Ghosh Dastidar, remember, one of the first MPs to come out and speak out against the TMC and the leadership within the TMC. She has signed on this letter. Apart from that, Shatabdi Roy, Bapi Haldar and Dr. Sharmila Sarkar has also signed on this. Prasoon Bandyopadhyay, again, one time known to be a close aide of Mamata Banerjee, has also signed on this. In fact, there are multiple names on this. Some also said to be very, very close to Mamata Banerjee, especially during the elections. Many leaders, including Shayoni Ghosh, who had fiercely campaigned for the TMC, things seem to have changed very drastically. One of the signatories is also Yusuf Pathan and also Mala Roy and Deepak Adhikari, June Male as well. So multiple of these leaders like Partha Bhomik as well, known to be close associates of Mamata Banerjee, who have now signed, making it clear that TMC may be looking at a complete breakup. In fact, one of the signatories of the letter, the rebel MP Arun Chakravarti, also spoke to us, giving us an insider account of what's really happening in the party and why there is mounting anger against Abhishek Banerjee.
Arupji, where is and at whom is your anger directed at? Is your anger with Mamata Banerjee? Do you have a problem with how Abhishek Banerjee is ruling or governing the party? What is the issue that you seem to be raising within the TMC?
वो लोग चलाया, वो लोग बर्बाद किया, उन लोग से बात कीजिए.
किसकी बात कर रहे हैं आप?
नहीं बोला कि why they are not call any meeting regarding the political vendetta. Why they are keep mum? This is their responsibility. This is not our responsibility. As they have already formed this party and they are giving a leadership since 15 years back, this is their lecture spot. They will think it, they will decide it. They will talk with the members of the parliament. Then they decide, then the problem may be solved. Neither we have already taken decision to save the prestige of the party of Trinamool Congress. We are going to form a new performance with the 20 members in the Lok Sabha parliament and want to allocate block for the members for sitting arrangement.
So what does this actually mean for the TMC? Let's break it down for you, and the numbers are going to be very, very important here because 19 MPs have signed this letter to the Speaker. So of the 28 MPs, the two-third threshold becomes very important because otherwise the anti-defection law would kick in, which means that the rebel MPs can also be disqualified. But if the threshold is two-thirds, that is, the majority of the rebels are in majority, then this means that the anti-defection law will not come into effect. So as of now, from 28, there are 19 MPs who have signed on this, which is two-thirds, exactly as much as needed. So let's tell you what this actually means for the TMC. This comes as a shield for the rebels from the anti-defection, which means that even if they are rebelling, they can't be disqualified from the TMC because their numbers are two-thirds. This also opens up the battle over the name TMC as well as the symbol. Are we looking at a situation where the symbol can be taken away from Mamata Banerjee by the rebel faction? It could, of course, also create a formal split in the TMC's Lok Sabha wing. The rebels can claim a separate parliamentary group, and the rebels can also move the Election Commission to claim the TMC name as well as a symbol.
कार्यकर्ता है टीएमसी को, जो अभिषेक बनर्जी, ममता बनर्जी. हमारा जो टीएमसी का लोग है, जो जनप्रतिनिधि है, एमपी है, एमएलए है, किसी को कोई बात नहीं सुनता है. ये जो विधानसभा इलेक्शन किया है, अभी कोटा बंगल से हम हार गया, तो प्रत्याशी चुनने के लिए कोई सांसद को, कोई इलाका लीडर को, सीनियर लीडर को पूछना चाहिए। जो एमपीस के मन में ये सोचना लगा कि अगर हम ये पार्टी में कोई बोलने का लायक नहीं, हमारा बात को सुनने का किसका मन नहीं है, तो हम क्यों रहे उसमें। इसलिए हम निर्णय लिया है कि हम विकास के साथ में, जो नरेंद्र मोदी जो हमारा भारत का प्रधानमंत्री है, हम वो विकास के साथ में ही रहेंगे।
Now, after this letter with signatures of the TMC rebels, TMC's Kirti Azad has claimed that this is orchestrated by the BJP. He said that he will be standing by Mamata Banerjee, and he said that there is a lot of pressure that is also being put on him because his security and home guards have been removed. He says that he is not going to succumb to this pressure. Going on to say that he also received multiple calls from the BJP MPs and organizational members of the BJP asking him to switch over, but he decided not to.
हटा दिया गया है। जिस तरीके से जिन एमपीओ ने साइन नहीं किया था, उनके घर में बीजेपी के लोग बैठे हुए थे, पुलिस बाहर से गार्ड कर रही थी उनको। बहुतों को तो घर तोड़ दिए गए, भंगचूर कर दिया गया, फैमिली को डराया धमकाया गया। बहुत सारे तो डर के आए हैं। लिस्ट देख लो, पहले 8 तो मान गए जो थे, उसमें 3 है, भापी हालदार है जिसका तो घर पर पूरा तोड़ दिया, तो कहां पर रहा था, फर्स्ट टाइम का एमपी है, यंग आदमी है।
Let's go across to my colleague Sabyasachi joining us on the broadcast with the details of what next for the TMC. And Sabyasachi, now that suspense continues, there have been multiple resignations, and this letter that Times Now has access today really reveals the entire story. As many as 19 MPs are in the rebel camp, crossing the two-thirds mark. What next for Mamata Banerjee?
Well, see, for Mamata Banerjee, its troubles are increasing and she does not have much options left. The options that are left in front of her is to challenge the rebel MPs in court as well as in front of the Lok Sabha Speaker. Now, the Trinamool Congress have been saying that the MPs must resign and they can contest polls on the ticket of the Bharatiya Janata Party. Now, the Mamata Banerjee establishment have been saying that the rebel MPs still does not have the number as some of the MPs who have put their signatures on the letter. In fact, they want to come back to the Mamata Banerjee establishment is what Mr. Kirti Azad also claiming. Now, Mamata Banerjee can approach the court as well as the Lok Sabha Secretariat and look for some help. But what I'm learning from the sources, now the Kakuli Dostidar camp, the rebel camp, are also prepared to fight a legal battle with Mamata Banerjee. Now, moving forward, they are going to stake claim on the party symbol as well as the party name, because what Mamata Banerjee establishment has been claiming that as per as per the anti-defection rule, the 2/3 majority have to merge with one of the party. So under these circumstances, if Kakuli Dostidar camp does not want to merge with the BJP, or they have already made it clear that they want to be a separate bloc, so under these circumstances, they can tell the EC or the court that the Trinamool Congress was not functioning in a constitutionally way, and some of the decisions that was taken by the party violates the constitution. And that is the reason why with 2/3 majority, they are the real Trinamool Congress, and they want the party name and the party symbol. So that could be one of the possibility going ahead between the rebel camp versus the Mamata Banerjee establishment.
Okay, all right. Sabyasachi, thank you for joining us with all those details. With that, it's time for us to slip into a short break. We'll be right back. Stay with us.